What is up? What is up, everyone? How you doing on this Thursday, the first Thursday
Thursday.
of December? Uh, I'm back here with JC. We're excited to kind of talk about what happened over the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday break. We've had a lot going on at the studio, at the agency. JC, I don't know if you want to chime in here and let the people know what's been up.
Yeah,
Both of
man.
them.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, or belated Thanksgiving. No, man, it's been good outside of dealing with COVID and some ear infections this week that hit me. It's been good. We're excited. There's a lot going on in the studio, like you said. It's our Basel week in Miami, so the studio has been bumping every day. There's been a new event. There's been something going on, so we're excited to get into this, man. Black Friday and everything that's going on Cyber Monday and this time of the year is exciting for anybody in the D2C space. So excited to jump into this.
Yeah. And again, it's been kind of back to back streaming for me. Last time it was Courtside Creatives, and then I had this after. And then yesterday we did a co create workshop where we kind of talked about, how do you leverage these AI tools to your benefit if you're a designer, if you're a creative, and, doing it with kind of some fundamentals in mind and just making sure that you're not just pushing out soulless pieces of content and things like that. So that's up on YouTube. It's up on LinkedIn. You guys can catch it if you have some time to go through it. But we're excited about the slate of topics that we have, today because again, coming off Black Friday, Shopify, as many of you know, is the premier e-commerce platform for a lot of online websites that have a shop, and they have found a really interesting way of kind of using all this data, all this information, and like B2B content essentially in a way that's entertaining, and they kind of spotlights them as well as the people that merchants that use Shopify. So we'll get into that. We'll look into a couple holiday ads that caught our attention that we felt were worth discussing and taking a look at, as well as this rumor that OpenAI is either testing or going to roll out ads as we anticipated.
They're going to roll it out.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past. It's just a matter of when, but it seems like they're kind of in that ready phase to hit go. It's just a matter of how they go about it or when they go about it. And then the Spotify Wrapped just came out. I think it was just yesterday. So I had a chance to kind of go through mine and see what other people were posting and look at kind of like the design, the aesthetic, all the things that go into it, and some numbers that are really interesting for Shopify, for Spotify. It's funny, both Shopify and Spotify kind of having these big moments in the holiday season, and they're so similar. I obviously have kind of stumbled upon them the last couple of times I've been trying to prep for this, but yeah, it's a lot going on, and we're excited to get into it. And at the end, we'll have a couple things that people have sent our way and that we've caught that it's kind of like an open floor. There's no really there's not a category for them. But again, throughout this entire stream, feel free to comment if you have any questions. We'll chime in and we'll try and dive into it either during or at the end of it. So all right, we'll go straight into it. So the Shopify Black Friday, they did such an impressive showcase of their capabilities, as well as all the pure scale that they have when it comes to the amount of shops that are on Shopify. And if you go to they made a website that's called BFCM, so Black Friday Cyber Monday Shopify.com, that it kind of shows you here at a glance. We'll play this so you can.
You're not sharing the screen, by the way.
Yeah, I'll share the screen here.
Oh, okay, cool, perfect.
So this this is kind of like a little preview of, like, you go to this website. It's very interactive. You have this little pinball machine, which is very old school Microsoft Windows. For those of you that it was a game that you could play. There weren't many games. It was like Solitaire, Minesweeper, this, and it was, so it's like pretty cool. And Actually, like this is the site. If you go to it right now, you'll be able to navigate. So this is live. You can go into it. You can play the actual pinball game, or you can go into the the screen and mess around with that. They have other things over here like a pizza with you can add pineapple to. So it's cool that you can kind of like go in here and they use their dev team to kind of bring this to life. And it's not like this is going to sell more. It's more of like, how do you gamify, how do you showcase something in a more interactive manner other than just a video or just like an ad or something like that, or just stats. Like this is a cool way. Like this was live over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so you could see actively, like at its peak, they sold $5 million worth of sales every minute. Like that was like per minute. That's what was going on. So it was kind of insane to see that happen. But coming back down, I think another impressive showcase of their capabilities, or like the marketing plan that they had going into this, was using the Vegas Sphere to broadcast this data and like as things were going live. So you can see here kind of what this looked like. So if you were in Vegas, you could see this, from your hotel room or from wherever you were. And these things would pop up when there would be like milestones, whether it's a shop's first sale, or they hit their 100th sale, millionth sale, whatever the number was. Like it was kind of like in real time showing you how much was actually going on in terms of online merchants and using Shopify. And it was just impressive because before, this was the first time they could render it in real time. They tried doing this last year and they could only kind of do a pre-recorded set thing. So it takes a lot. Like if you ask any developer, like they're mind blown at this because the amount of compute power and like the scale of what it takes to actually pull this off is really difficult. So I think they did this to also show like that they have the team that can actually handle this level of a development and kind of an execution. So jumping into some of the numbers, that when you combine Black Friday and Cyber Monday, they sold pretty much $14.6 billion in sales across all Shopify merchants globally. And that's 27% up from the previous year. There were 81 million shoppers that that bought from a Shopify merchant, and there were at least 15,000, almost 16,000 entrepreneurs that made their first sale. So like they started new shops and they sold for the first time during this weekend. So there was just a lot going on, and we have other numbers that are specific just to Black Friday. So on Black Friday alone, it was 6.2. This was on one day.
It's wild.
And then, as I already mentioned, that 5.1 million was the peak at which they were selling in terms of sales per minute that they were processing. So, and that's 76 million out of those that we mentioned of 81. A lot of it happened on Black Friday alone. And they were just trying to kind of flex their muscles. And the founder was on different podcasts, kind of like bouncing around, doing different things, showcasing and highlighting some of the merchants that use Shopify. And they also are now not just leaning into like startups and some of these newer end brands. They're also starting to onboard more legacy brands onto the platform. And they want to show that, hey, if you really want to do this, whether it's strictly online or even the point of sale, like they can handle both. And for me, the takeaways here was really about how do you take something that's very B2B and so data heavy and make it into entertainment. And I feel like they did that really well. They treated this almost like if it was a Super Bowl for them. And it is for a lot of, e-commerce brands and consumer packaged goods brands in general. You're like looking forward to this weekend. And you sometimes you make a majority of your yearly sales during this weekend. Like sometimes it's 60-70% of what you make in the entire year is like just all fronted into this moment. So it's a big thing. And by broadcasting it online and on the Sphere and in other channels, they almost were treating it like a war room. Like you're seeing this happen, and it almost feels like other businesses and other entrepreneurs that were in it felt like they were part of something special. And I think that was like the most powerful aspect of this.
That was my biggest takeaway for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I was doing my prep for this, that was 100% the biggest takeaway. Like entrepreneurship, especially what was the number 15? How many new
It was
entrepreneurs?
like 15,800 entrepreneurs. It's sold on Shopify for the
The
first
first
time.
time. That's wild. And
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship can be very lonely sometimes, and to be able to gamify it like this and create a community that Shopify has done really well. Kudos to them. I think, look, we talk about Shopify a lot because we do a lot of D2C, and Shopify from the beginning has done it right. I think their marketing is always spectacular. I think their communication is always spectacular. They really are a lifeline to a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses, being able to go direct to consumer in for the most part a very affordable way, not breaking the bank, which you couldn't do 15, 20 years ago before Shopify, or maybe a little bit more than that. But to be able to, like you said, gamify it this way and be able to create this kind of like Super Bowl feel, that there's like a live event going on. And really that's what Black Friday has become. It's like this like lead up to this 1, 2, or really it's a weekend now because we get Cyber Monday as well, but a lead up to this weekend with all these great deals, etc. And again, to be able to kind of gamify it in this way and create this hype, but then also to be able to showcase like, hey, you could be a part of this. If you have a brand, if you have a product, whatever the case may be, it's very easy to be a part of this, and it really is. So, good for them, man, and especially in this creator era where there is a lot of isolation, right? You have like these creators that are creating their own brands and their isolated Instagrams or whatever the case may be. Even though they're broadcasting to the world, they are very isolated. Same thing with entrepreneurship, and to be able to kind of like rally them around and create this community. That's really what I got out of this. Is it's a really good job by them. And then there's a lot of nostalgia to it. The room, like you said, having that old school pinball machine, kind of understanding like probably what their core base is right now, which is probably like those 30-year-old, 40-year-olds. So really understanding that as well. Again, just kudos to them. And I didn't realize this was the first year. Yeah, there you go. Like, that's the old school pinball machine that we grew up with, that we play on the computers.
This is me playing this live here. Like you guys play this.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's kind of insane that they recreated this in their own way. And obviously, like you see the BFCM, you see Shopify, it's branded their way with like that nostalgic kind of feel. Yeah. And as I was mentioning, like you can even go in here and see at that time live how many like functions were happening, how many requests they were getting per minute, just like the data, right? Little things, that little nuggets. Like they have videos here from the Sphere from 2024, the promo they did for 2025, some behind the scenes stuff. Like this is an active. It's inception, honestly, because like I'm in a computer accessing this through a computer. They're showing like even how I guess some of this was like the renderings or like the ideas they had of how they wanted to bring this to life. So they're showing their work, which is great for anyone. And then in here, another video game, like just for fun. They're actually like, we can play this game, and you can go and you drive it and you go left and right and you go down this little track and all this stuff. And so I think they did a really good job of showing that interactive element, and just being able to create this little mini site that brings to life some of the hard data and some of the things that you otherwise would just see it on a sheet and wouldn't really care about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And Shopify, like, especially in this tech era where there's 1,000 different types of apps, and 1,000 different types of tools for creators, for entrepreneurs, etc. Like Shopify has stayed one of those tools, one of those platforms that like, it's continuously worth it. It's continuously bang for your buck. It really does help out brands and entrepreneurs and people with ideas. Like, and it's always one-upping itself. Like there's always more tools and there's always more ways of you being able to get your product out there. And Shopify, even from the inception of the story and the way that it was built and why it was built, it's an incredible product. I I'm a huge fan of Shopify. It's a home run.
For sure. And I mean, whenever any client, it's rare that any client comes to us and say, we have an online shop, but we're not happy with it, or we want to start an online shop. Shopify is the first one that we recommend. And that's without us being any ambassadors or anything like that. It's just like, just looking at the market, we know that there's other options out there. It's just, they're the best positioned and the best well-oiled machine, essentially, when it comes to having an online shop. And then the ecosystem of plugins and apps that you can connect to it is also what makes them special. The integrations that you can get, so that you can, if you need to source attribution and data and like seeing the back-end numbers, there's that. If you need to do subscriptions, there's plenty for that help you kind of streamline that process. So there's a lot of good things, and I think that they only continue to grow at this stage, and the fact that they're now like getting the attention and starting to acquire legacy brands is also a big move. And so that to me was kind of it's like a culmination, because as we said, like this has already been about 10 years in the making. I think it officially launched close to 20 years ago, but it was actually like 10 years in the making of like them building this out and truly making it what it is today. So that's really what I took away from it, and I think that it's just the next iteration of this kind of platform that I think is going to continue to grow. Yeah.
Again, like you said, and if a brand comes to us that has a product, you're either on Amazon or Shopify. Like there's really no other reason why. There's no reason why to be anywhere else, especially nowadays. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yep. All right, and then jumping back to the next topic, we looked at a couple ads. One of them is by Apple, and the other one's by Chevy. We'll probably play a few, maybe close to a minute, because the first one's about 2.5 minutes and the second one's about 3 minutes. But we'll play some of it so you can get the gist of it, and then we'll pause it so you can we can talk through it.
Bum, 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 bum,
Ping.
bum, 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 bum.
Ping.
Dum 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 dum.
Friends sing together. La 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 la. Friends do things together.
La 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 la.
Friends laugh together. Ha 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 ha. Friends eat trash together.
La 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 la.
Friends help you when you're in danger.
Friends are people who are not strangers.
Friends help you shift into a new place.
Tell you if you've got food on your face.
Friends are the ones on whom you can depend.
He's my friend.
He's not my friend.
Friends are the ones who are there in the end.
Hey, that's not the vibe.
This is very triggering.
Drop the rat. He's my friend. He's not my friend. If you cross the road and a truck struck you,
I'll scrape you up and reconstruct you.
I'll cheer you up if you're depressed.
If they hunt you down, I'll avenge your death.
Okay, that's a bit dark.
So we'll pause it there, but it goes on for about another minute or less. But I think this is also a move by Apple, as we'll also cover later in the open floor. This was all handmade. Like this was done with like animatronics and with these puppets and kind of bringing it to life this way. They could have easily used CGI, AI. They could have gone another route, and they wanted to really highlight that you could do this by hand with craftsmanship, and also just bringing that human creativity to the forefront while using their product, the iPhone 17 Pro, as the tool that was used to capture it. Obviously, in post, they used, I don't know, Adobe Premiere or some other like post-production software to really hone it all together, add audio and whatnot. But capturing this with their own product is always kind of an impressive thing to see. And really that's where it is with cameras, phone cameras at this point. Like they're so good that they do what 80% of the cameras do. There's still like that 20% market that you still need a good camera with a good lens and other gear and lighting to bring it to life. But yeah, that was my opinion on it. JC, what were your thoughts on this?
I loved it. It's what a stark contrast to Coca-Cola's holiday commercial. Yeah, highlighting the craftsmanship, the storytelling. It's hilarious. It's so well done. It's so well built. You know, again, everywhere from like the animatronics and the way that it was built to like the jokes that are in it. It's just it's really well done. And like you said, it's highlighting the features of the phone, because at the end of the video, you know, he's using the watch, he's pinging it, he's like there's other elements to it which are also, you know, make kind of bring the whole video to life and really set it apart. So yeah, huge fan of it. This is a home run, and like I said, a huge stark contrast to Coca-Cola. And it goes to show you that, like, in the day and age of AI, like, it doesn't mean that these type of commercials, these type of productions are going to go away. And if anything, if well done, it means that you could really like stand out with this type of production and this type of like creativity and storytelling. So I told you before the call, like, this is one of my favorite commercials that I've seen. One of the commercials that I've seen in a long time that I'm like, wow, this is a really good commercial. Like, it's really well done. They had me the whole entire time. And the next one that you're gonna play. So yeah, home run on this one.
Yeah, I agree. They did a great job here, and
man.
Yeah, they're doing great things. And then this one, it's called Memory Lane by Chevrolet. It is a 3-minute one. I think we could get probably through 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and you get the gist of it. But it really kind of wraps it up at the end, so it's kind of hard to kind of pause it. But we'll play through it and we'll see when we give it a pause. But it's worth watching because I think it's a good job of storytelling that hasn't been done by many brands effectively. So I think it's worth taking a look at here.
Found it.
Are we feeding an army?
Pies are in the fridge. Ton, did you get the casseroles?
Yeah, back seat.
So let's go. Come on, careful.
Where's the dog?
Kind of got my hands full here.
Willie! Don't keep all the good stuff to yourself.
I was just thinking about the first time that we did this drive. The great diaper explosion of 1992. Uh-oh, the Christmas tree farm.
Don't even.
Is this the one you want?
Climb the tree to see the world.
You got it?
Got it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You actually said, I will
Turn this car around right now.
I was going to.
Yeah.
Dad, we gotta go. Please, Dad, just stop by you, please.
The last time we did this together, remember?
I don't want to go back to college. It's okay. It's going to be okay. He doesn't even like me.
That guy's not even cool enough for you anyway.
By the cracks of his skin, I climb to the top. I climb the tree to see the world.
They never made it easy, did they?
Well, did you want it to be easy?
No. I wanted it to be just like it was.
Oh.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Hello. Oh, no. You guys just get in?
Yeah. Who's this little guy?
This is Waylon.
You look like an old friend of mine.
Come on in. It's freezing out here.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
Planted the seeds. I climbed the tree to see the world.
Yeah, so definitely one that was worth playing through because it's top to bottom, great storytelling, done in a way that pulls at your heartstrings, tells a story of that same old car that they used throughout the entire journey of their starting a family, and in
So powerful.
a day and age where like everything is about something new. Her line of saying that I just wanted things the way that they were, and holding on to those memories, and it's really a powerful ad. And I think that I saw a lot of people sharing it, as we're seeing in the chat, who's cutting onions. It definitely was one of them that you had to hold tears back because it's, if you have a family yourself, you can see moments that you've experienced or about to experience. And I think that was a powerful move by Chevy. It's more of a brand building kind of thing because they're not promoting a specific car. They're just kind of saying, hey, like, we've been here. We were that car. We were part of this journey with you. And tying themselves to family values and whatnot. So I thought it was obviously a home run, and even something that, I only was exposed to this online on YouTube. I didn't see it on a TV spot or anything. So it was I don't even, you wouldn't even have the amount of time to actually showcase the full thing because usually you get 30 seconds to a minute on traditional TV. So that's what I found the most impressive, the fact that they could release a quote unquote traditional commercial spot, but it gets almost like virally shared through different channels and different networks that people were sharing it through. So JC, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, fantastic. I agree with you. Like the ability to, this is more of a brand building, but the ability to like make you feel connected to Chevy, even if you don't have a Chevy really, throughout the entire video makes me want to get a Chevy now. No, it's fantastic. I think about like the Suburban that we had as a family growing up, and like all the things that we did in that car. And the cars that we've had in our family. So super well done. I was rehearsing. I had told you I kind of crammed to study for the podcast over the last couple hours because I was sick the entire week dealing with COVID. And I was on the couch and I was watching this. It was the first time I watched it. And Mari was doing laundry, and she went into the living room, and I was like I was teary-eyed, like watching it, like legit. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, the commercial. She's like, a commercial made you cry? I'm like, no, a commercial made me cry, like legit. Yeah. Because there's one part in the commercial that they talk about the dad saying he's going to turn around the car or whatever. And I think of like how, certain things that I tell Braden that I'm, tough love or whatever the case may be. And it's like those little moments that are so powerful. So it's just so well done. You could tell whoever wrote this and produced this, like, has a family, understands these moments that go on throughout a family. And yeah, I agree with you. I love the fact that they didn't showcase a new car. Well, they do in the background, and that when it's the last scene in the house, like you could see a new Chevy in the back. Fine, I get it. But I love the fact that it was the old car the entire time, the old Chevy the entire time, because it really drives home the point of like, we're here with you throughout this, throughout your entire life, throughout all these amazing memories. It was Chevy that was here. So super well done. home run. Again, the storytelling aspect of it, such a contrast to the Coca-Cola commercial that was just basically throwing up, crap and seeing what sticks. These two commercials, and again, it's not about AI. We've talked about the power of AI and how it helps, but really it always goes back to the storytelling and the directing and the being able to produce the emotion throughout these pieces of content. And this produced emotion. It was heartstrong. It was, at the end of it, you're like, wow, this is impactful. So, home run. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
Well
and
done.
One thing that actually at the end of yesterday's workshop, we were having some conversations about, what some clients or some people that, let's say, are interested in working with us might say, like a business saying, oh, why should I hire you if, I can just get this done with AI, or I could do certain things now with the tools available to me and whatnot. There are two factors to that. One is obviously if you're a business owner and you're operating the business, like, good luck spending the right amount of time, attention, and detail that you'll need to execute on something like a logo, a marketing campaign, the messaging, the entire, the whole ecosystem that you got to think about. So that's one thing. But the second thing is, like, to me, speed is one thing, but lasting power is the other part that we're not talking about. And it doesn't matter if you can make a logo, an ad, or whatever in a matter of minutes, seconds, hours, or whatever that is. It's a matter of, like, is that ad actually going to impact that person receiving it? And AI couldn't have written this. AI couldn't have done this without the guidance of a human telling it exactly
without really good prompts.
Without someone that basically driving the ship and just using it as a tool, that is the way that we've always talked about it. It's not about, it's just going to make it up. And that's really at the forefront. The main takeaway that we had was that in use of something like AI, the workflow should be human. If you choose AI, then the AI comes in, but then the human should always be at the end. Like, don't start driving the boat, the ship, whatever it may be, and then let it go off the edge and let wherever AI take it. Like, you need to bring it down to earth. You need to continue to guide it and take it to the finish line. It's not about just, Jesus take the wheel and allow it to, like, figure it out on the fly. Like, this is 100% guided by human insight, by human emotion, and giving that kind of attention and just knowing that that's something that's relatable. Doing that, those are moments in there that can pull at someone's heartstrings in different ways, either all the way throughout or just certain moments. Maybe you're a pet owner, maybe you have a family. Like, there's still going to be things in there that you can all relate to in moments of it. So that to me is what stood out, is like, hey, AI is great and we're proponents of it, but you still need great human creatives and visionaries and people that can steer that ship and guide and direct it.
Yes, and I think now more than ever, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and you spoke about it yesterday in your TED talk, like we were talking about it. You talked about it, like storytelling, directing, being able to direct this tool, which is AI, to your point, on what to do, where to go, and how to get there is going to be at the forefront of what agencies and what brands need to look for moving forward. Because again, yes, it is a tool, but without the storytelling, and I get super excited and emotional when I talk about the storytelling that we have at Cultura. I mean, we have people that have been doing it literally, their entire life. Like, all of you guys, Roby does that, on a daily basis. He is storytelling, he's building, he's producing, that's what he does. And more than ever, I think that talent, that tool, or that talent is what really needs to guide the ship on that tool, which is AI, to your point. So again, really well done. There's so many little tidbits in that commercial that, again, to your point, no amount of AI, like, it's just never going to get. Being able to capture that moment of, like, I'm going to turn around this car. Like, AI is not going to understand that. It doesn't get that, but a human does. And that if they did use AI, they prompted that shit like ad nauseum. They prompted that shit.
Yeah.
And they were behind that. So yeah, just super well done. I love it. And home run.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of AI, we will switch gears.
Speaking of AI,
to OpenAI, and the thing that we've talked about in the past, we've talked about search in general and how things are going to change. Like, what does it mean to have SEO in today's day and age, and how will ads be integrated into something like a chatbot or an LLM like OpenAI, like Claude, like all those things. So you've been seeing some news stories pop up talking and hinting at ChatGPT rolling out ads, and then there was like this one super nerdy kind of post that you go online, like someone looked at the Android app and looked at the code and found that there were certain lines of code that were referencing ads, right? Like ad target, ad type, search ad. So basically it's already being written into the code, and it's a matter of flipping a switch and deciding when to roll this out. And we knew that this was on the horizon. We just didn't know when or like what would prompt them to, go and roll it out. And there's some notes here that, I feel are really illuminating and give you an idea of like why this is happening now. The key thing to call out here is that Sam Altman said that the company was going to reach about 20 billion in annual recurring revenue by the end of 2025. And that was like double what he said it was going to be in June. So it was like, oh, wow, you're accelerating. That's a big leap to say an extra $10 billion by the end of this year. But the other thing to call out is that they're burning a ton of money, $8 billion this year alone. And they say that they're probably going to accumulate about 115 billion in losses through 2029. That's with all the infrastructure build out, the servers, all the operating costs, all the things that are going to go into like building this company and the software within it to the scale they need it to. They're going to burn a lot of money. So with the need for that kind of scaling, there's a gap that they need to fill. And I think that ads is going to be the thing that's going to help them unlock and fill some of that gap, because the quote here mentions that there's probably like $207 billion in gap that isn't being made between the revenue and the projections of losses by that marker of 2029. Or, there's basically a point that this company needs to find another way to generate revenue or unlock other things. So we felt that ads was going to be on the horizon, and it looks like it's probably going to come out relatively soon. I don't know if it's this month, next month, but I think by next year this is rolled out. So
yeah, it makes total sense, man.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to probably be one of those mixed models in the sense of what plan you have. Maybe there's like a cheaper plan or a free plan that has ads in it. And I don't know if they have like an ad-free plan, right? Like I'm sure you pay the $200 a month, you're probably going to get an ad-free version. But I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. And they've already kind of like references, like now just in November, they rolled out this shopping research tool. So they also gained a lot of data from this, which I'm sure they can leverage and turn it into better targeting and better serving of information that could include ads. So some people use this during Black Friday. I was hearing some people talking about it. I saw it pop up. I didn't really I don't think that I actually used it, but a tool specifically focused on finding, key products, showing you the differentiator, doing a lot of that like comparison shopping that you would do manually. They're kind of doing it for you and diving deeper. Like, what do the reviews say? All these other things, doing the things that you would have to do a little bit more manually. Like it's now being integrated into the platform just as a research tool. So you can see how these two things kind of connect. And just to point out, like the reason why they rolled this out is because they were already getting like 50 million shopping related queries a day. So like how much are running shoes, things like that, you're looking for something to buy that's local or you have to buy it online. Like all those questions, they used to go to Google, and now it seems like some of that's going into like ChatGPT and some of these other tools. So it definitely smart timing on the research tool, and it seems like soon enough it'll be leveraged and used for ads. So what are your thoughts here?
It is gonna be a big game changer, man. Like I think obviously this throws out another platform that ad managers are gonna have to be are gonna have to understand and are gonna have to. I would love to see what the back end of this is gonna look like, right? For ads managers for that whole ecosystem. It you know obviously a direct competitor to Google when it comes to search and discoverability. I started to use that research tab that you're talking about. It's a little clunky still. It's not great, but I mean, but you could see where it's going, and you could see what it's going to do to the market. So we knew this. We've been talking about it since we started talking about anything marketing. I think we've been on the same page with this. We knew this was going to happen. It just makes sense. There's a huge gap, a revenue gap here that just is not going to make sense for OpenAI moving forward without investor money. And at a certain point, they got to turn a profit. So, yeah, this just made total sense, and we knew it was going to happen. And I think, now's the time for them to dive into this because of the competition that Google is starting to kind of on the other end with their with Gemini, with Nano Banana, like the things that because they've been pressed, because Google's been pressed, they're moving light years ahead of where they probably were going to be at this point because of OpenAI. And then the other way around, like I think they need to get into this game. OpenAI needs to get into this game because Google is stepping up their game on everything AI, on everything searchability, and like I said, all of the AI that they're throwing out. So I like the rat race. I love what's happening. It's only going to be for the consumer and for ad buyers, for really the whole ecosystem. I think another player involved here when it comes to ads and ad buying is can only be a good thing. I think it's going to be interesting. Again, like I said, where they're going to take this, how the back end is going to look, and what these things are going to look like. But yeah, we knew this was going to happen, man.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of understanding that as these trends are happening, as this like behavioral shift, I don't want to call it a trend, honestly, because it is, it's a behavior that is changing. This is before you would have to go and search Google or search the website and look at reviews and do this stuff by yourself. And now you're using other tools to help you research and get information that you otherwise would have to manually do. So that is at the core of, why this is important. This is not some parlor trick that is going to fade overnight. This is a shift in the way that you use the internet, the way that you use some of these tools. And it will affect the way that ad buying and the way that, people interface with that kind of stuff. So I'm very curious, and it's an ongoing conversation of like, how does this impact things like search, SEO, ad buying, and for brands, like how do you fit into this puzzle, if at all? I obviously think you should fit into the puzzle and find a way to make it make sense for you and your brand, because this is not going away. And so that to me is what's the most interesting aspect of this. And if you're a brand out there that needs to navigate this, like you better be paying attention to other channels, doing your own research, obviously tune into us, but make sure that you're on top of this. This is not something that otherwise this will catch you off guard. And like a year and a half, 2 years from now, you're going to be like, why aren't my Google ads working the way that they used to? Like, why aren't those like search ads that I was running before programmatically, like not doing it? Because things have changed and you can't just set it and forget it. Like this is rapidly evolving and you have to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's exciting, man. I'm kind of pumped at this whole new ecosystem. And like you said, the behavioral changes of what's happening right now with the way that we're going to be buying and purchasing things, man. So it's exciting.
Sure. Yeah. And switching gears here, we're going to talk about Spotify. They released their wrapped end of year kind of recap of, what anyone who's a premium user gets to see kind of their stats. And similar to what Shopify did, they're kind of just leveraging data. Like they're sitting on this information and they're kind of like feeding it back to you in a creative, visually engaging way. and it helps people kind of see at a glance, like, damn, you're just listening to the music or the podcast on a daily, weekly basis, right? But you're not thinking about like what those behaviors are and how to categorize them, or like maybe there were moments throughout the year that things change. And I think that they do a good job of kind of like showing you things like this, like what is your kind of persona or your role when it comes to listening to music, right? Are you a scout, someone who's like looking for the freshest release and curating and being on top of what's happening on the forefront of music? Or are you just someone that's kind of like top 40, listening to what's popular, whatnot? So it's really cool to see how they can use this information and kind of show people. And then really what ends up happening is this all gets shared online on people's Instagram accounts, on other channels. They share this, and it almost becomes like, hey, this is what I should, what was your favorite song? Like, what was there any overlap between that stuff? They always do things like this, showing you like what your top artists or the top songs are, how many minutes you listen to it. And then they went in and they did these little like mini reports. And here, look, speaking of AI, they kind of aggregated some of this stuff. So they said like your biggest day of listening to like jazz house, and it was like what day that was. And for me, it was March 3rd. And they give you even like a little rundown of like what playlists you listen to and some of the songs or some of the artists in there, how many minutes you listen to it. So it was like kind of cool to see a moment in time. And then you get to see snapshots also, like, oh wow, I was going through like my jazz phase in this part of the year, and then I got into like a rock phase or like an R&B phase or an electronic phase. So it almost gives you snapshots and gives you a recap of your own year in a different way, where with music as the talking point, which I thought was like really interesting. And they also did this funny thing that a lot of people were sharing. I saw a lot of memes coming out of it.
My listening
But
age.
like, yeah, your listening age. And they
That's
really, the
funny.
way that they calculated it was like, what was the year of the music that was made? Like what, so if you're listening to music from the 70s, your listening age was going to be way up there, right? So it was funny. Like some people were like shocked at either how high or how low it was. So I thought that was a cool kind of way of doing it. And for me, just visually, I really liked what they did. Like up here, you can kind of get an idea of how they animated some of these things. They use like this like pin style graphic. It looks like an enamel pin. So they brought in something that feels almost like physical and has like its own texture and detail that feels real. But then also just very dynamic and fun things with like the squiggles, the bars, the animations, and all that stuff. I think that they did a good job. And they wanted to give it almost like a mixtape feel. They wanted to bring in a certain element of like, it doesn't feel soulless. It feels like it has a little bit of that human touch into it. They didn't want it to feel like it was just some fabricated thing that had no, design eye to it. They usually do a good job, but last year they kind of went the route of like ugly design. They use like very compressed fonts. They're almost like very difficult to read, almost like that Charlie XCX album where it was the green thing with, just like almost like non-designer on purpose, right? Like, so this time I felt like they were a little bit more design forward. And obviously that speaks to me. But going back to like the marketing side and how this affects the business, this is where it gets interesting. Because last year in December, like searches for Spotify peaked in December when they released it. And it's happened in the past. Like you see some of these spikes all around December. Whereas like these other competitors, Amazon and Apple Music, like it's nowhere near that. This was before this launch. So I'm curious to see what happens, and the data, after the next week, probably we'll get a better idea, but it's probably a massive surge. And it's a great way for them to almost like use this as like a loyalty play and a way to use their own users as ambassadors and ways to spread the word. So some key takeaways here and notes that I put down, like their global head of creative said that they wanted it to feel a little bit handmade, like having that little bit of a messy design you saw with the squiggles.
They got that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they leaned into that. They use the word human and tactile. Like I said, that enamel pin and things like that. The cool thing they did differently this year is at the very end, they added what they called like a wrapped party. And you can invite people into almost like a little group where you can all play music. It's almost like your own little room, and then everyone is listening to the same song at the same time. So you can invite up to like 9 friends and do that. And also you could see their stats in real time. So like you can see like, oh, you listen to this kind of music and this artist, and like, so it almost like brings it all together, and it almost adds a social element internally. Before it was like, oh, everyone's just sharing it on their Instagram pages and TikToks and whatnot. Here it's kind of like saying, hey, within Spotify, you can do this. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they also have like chats now. Like you can send people a song, and instead of having to like copy it and send it via text or whatever channel, like you can send it to that user in Spotify. So they have a chat within the app that you can do that. And then a couple other cool things that they did is, even one, I saw that like one of the artists, some artists would create like these little handheld videos and like thanking their, you know, like if you listen to them a lot that year, they're like, it's almost like a personal note. Some of them even leveraged that and then also promoted merch, and they sold merch through this. So that was kind of like a different thing where you can integrate the shopping aspect of buying merch as a reminder, like, hey, you listen to this artist so much, like, by the way, we have this merch that, you know, we're selling, and it's, you know, now it's a holiday season, you might want to buy it. And yeah, the last part here was also just the fact that they have 713 million monthly active users, and this is pretty much an event for them to just broadcast and promote and use those existing users as, hey, we're here, we love using this platform, this is, you know, our taste in music, and we're helping you amplify and share that with the world. So I think that they did an incredible job. I think they continue to push the envelope when it comes to these yearly wraps. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Spotify user. I think I use it more now than ever for podcasting, more than anything else. It's where I listen to the Grandfathers, but just on a business level, like the way that they're able to kind of capitalize on this, and like you said, bring in that community, very similar to what we were talking about earlier with Shopify, being able to like not necessarily gamify, but just you know, bring in that community is huge, and good for them. I actually just went through mine. My age is 47 on my music, so which is not surprising. Not surprising. I listen to a lot of old stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. It's very insightful, and keeps you kind of plugged in. Like I said, I'm not a huge Spotify user, but I have become a little bit more and more as the years go on. They're obviously doing a really good job. They've been able to ward off the big dogs, and we talk about it all the time. Their prominence right now on the podcasting level, and how they've been able to bring in video on the podcasting as well, and they're really like giving everybody a run for their money, and they're the big dogs. So good for them, man. Yeah, this is huge. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and I also like that they also did at the end, they kind of gave you these little, like they almost chunked your style. They almost gave you like these mini personas based on what podcasts you listen to. Like, oh, you listen to a lot of like architecture and design and sports and marketing and business and all these things, and like almost like giving you these kind of profiles. And you can tell that they probably internally use that too to serve you different things, like recommended and whatnot. So it's like a powerful thing that it's like feeding back to you, like, damn, yeah, they're right. And B, if you're like in the marketing space, you're like, hey, maybe if I'm trying to promote a podcast or promote an artist, they know their stuff, they have the data to back it. It might make sense to see what advertising through Spotify is like if you're in that space, and if you want to do it, because yeah, they've been tracking this for a while, and there's a lot of information that they can leverage and, you know, do things that are contextual and make sense and reach an exact user that has that profile you're looking for. So
yeah,
that was kind of like my rundown on Spotify. But I have a couple here. You know, if you're still in the chat, feel free to ask us any questions or anything that you might have seen. But I wanted to showcase this. This is like another layer of that Apple campaign that we saw, right, with the animatronic puppet thing. But they also did this, like this new intro that's been shared a bit, is that they made this intro by hand. They could have done this CGI again with like some sort of visual effects, but like they chose to do this by hand. So it's cool to see that, and I think that it's great to show that, hey, there's craftsmanship. I think it seems like Apple's very heavily leaning into craftsmanship and showing that there's still humans that are behind these things. Mind you, the other thing that we don't really call out, but it's like, even though that's not AI, but that's a robot arm pulling those shots. Both the shot that goes in, the telescoping one, and the other one that goes around, like that's engineered and it's all machine and done with that kind of stuff. So it's not technically by hand, but it's rigged and it's done. And then they remove the little things, the little handles and parts that are holding together that in post to make sure that it looks good on black and it floats in the center of your screen. So I like that it's showing you that there is this kind of middle ground. There's still people involved. There's still technology involved. Like there's not this 100% done by hand. Like for that, then you also go film and you have someone chopping up the film by hand, and you go really, really old school. So again, I still think that this is a really cool thing to show, and a lot of this BTS stuff too is cool, just showing like what goes into something like this.
Yeah, they're leaning in, like you said, made by hand. It's right there, right in the title. So I like it. I love the commercial. I like this. Like you said, it's kind of like a hybrid, because there is engineering and there is some stuff that's rigged but the whole concept of it is really cool. And I would love to see like if there is just an overall creative strategy right now at Apple that is leaning into this more and more. Like if this is just one-offs or like they really going hard after this, because it'd be very interesting to see. I would love to see what they're going to be doing here for the rest of the holidays and then now into the Super Bowl season. This may be just like an overall campaign that they got going on.
Yeah, it seems like it's a shift. I mean, if we just saw two key things that happen in a relatively short time span, this time frame. I think that they're leaning into this hard, and they're kind of making that a through line in a lot of the stuff they're rolling out. But another cool thing, I don't know, are you caught up on Stranger Things?
I'm not caught up, no, but
okay. But this doesn't really have any spoilers, but they do have Gatorade in it, right? And it's obviously like 80s Gatorade, so they have the bottles like this. And I just thought it was cool that they did this little campaign. It came out in November, and I guess we missed it. But now that I'm caught up and I see it, like it actually hits harder because I get to kind of see how this all plays in. But
Gatorade is thirsty, forgot deep down body thirst.
The line between ordinary and extraordinary is marked in sweat. When that voice in your head whispers, "You have already lost," but you fight to the end. Because you're no ordinary athlete. And Gatorade is no ordinary thirst quencher.
But when I first saw it, now that you say that it's in Stranger Things, when I first saw it, I was like, it's just kind of like throwing in Gatorade in this world. But yeah, I guess they showcase it in the new season.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple moments where you see it used, and it makes sense. Like you've seen Coke used in some of these kind of shows that throw back, and they use like the contextual label and packaging of that time. So I thought it was cool. Even right now, they're leaning heavily into it. As you can see, like they have their profile upside down, the logo, leaning into the whole upside down thing in Stranger Things. So I thought it was a cool little cute thing that they put together. And then the first time I watched it without any audio, and it still hit the same. I feel like the Stranger Things soundtrack is just so incredible. So I think it like makes it brings you in. Like it has this sense of like eeriness, but also like curiosity, and they do such a good job of like drawing you into that world that they've created. And I love seeing everything that's come out from Stranger Things. So I'm caught up on all four.
Without any spoilers.
Yeah.
How's the season?
Great. Like I can't wait till the next batch gets released on Christmas. So I was having a conversation with a close friend that we thought like maybe instead of like doing the release right before Thanksgiving of 4 episodes, I think they should have just done the weekly release. And then that way by the time that you're done like watching it week to week, then you release the next one. And it feels, because I mean, I watched it probably in a couple sittings. Like I did fall asleep a couple times just because I was watching it too late. But I probably saw it in like 3 sittings. I saw all 4 episodes, and it's really good, you know. And I think that it's interesting to see these kind of series roll out and having that conversation. Like, do you want it all at the same time? Do you want the weekly thing? Or but they're producing essentially like mini movies every episode. Like each one is over an hour long, and then the final one that comes out, I think New Year's Eve, is going to be like over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
and the budgets are mini movies. Like the budgets are movies.
Yeah,
like legit.
It's straight up movies. Like it is incredible. It's going to be sad to see it end, but I believe it should end just because like 5 seasons of this is, when you go back to the first season, you realize like how young these kids were when they started, so how long ago it was. But it's there's a time and place for things to end. I don't know if there'll be like spin-offs and other things, but I think they've done a good job. I haven't felt like I've liked every season, honestly, and I don't feel like there's been like a massive drop off. And I feel like with these first 4 that I saw, it's going to continue to be as good as it was, if not better.
All right. Good. I got to refresh myself on the last 2 seasons. I don't think we really dove into it. And then I saw that they came out with a list of like the episodes that throughout all the seasons that you should watch if you don't want to like watch, you know, every single season, just to get caught up on the season.
We rewatched the last season. We didn't watch anything before that, so at least we were caught up in terms of like what happened and how we got here. But there are other references that I know that there was a mention of like the second season, that there's some things in there that you might want to watch to refresh. Once we finished we're caught up, it started playing the first episode of the first season. And that's when we were like, holy crap, like these kids were so young and it's been so long. And it was good to see some of that too. It makes me want to rewatch some of those things. So I think it's good. It has like this rewatchability now that you're kind of like caught up and you want to like get a refresher on everything.
And that first season was so good too. Yeah, I'm going to refresh and watch it. I love Stranger Things. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it on my end. I don't know if there was anything else that you've come across or that you wanted to talk about before we hop off. But
no, really the only thing that I had that was interesting. So last week we're at Disney, and whenever we go to Disney, we kind of like hone in on the Disney community and what people are saying and whatnot. Obviously, it's like, you know, with everything going on, we don't really follow anything Disney like we used to. It's more of just like putting on the movies and but it's interesting the backlash that they're getting for a lot of the renovations that are going on in Magic Kingdom. They're redoing like the entire, basically like the river where Tom Sawyer was at. They completely gutted that. That they're putting Cars Land and they're putting like a Villains Land or whatever. But just like on a marketing and kind of like communications end, it's really interesting the backlash that they're getting right now online from a lot of like these old like Disney heads. So I'm interested to see how they like on a PR level, how they communicate here within the next couple of years as they're doing all these like renovations to old non-IP rides and attractions, as they have to bring in now a lot of the IP stuff that they got to monetize and they got to continue to kind of squeeze. So I think there's an interesting dynamic happening right now where a lot of like the old school traditional Disney rides, attractions, etc., are getting really kicked to the side for a lot of this new IP that's coming out that are either in films or on Disney Plus or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it was just interesting to see that and to dive into it, because I think Disney's at a crossroads right now, and a very interesting point as they get into like this next decade, where they're apparently spending $15 billion or something like that into their parks, and the onset now with the new park that Universal came out with, Epic Universe. So there's a lot of competition on that end. So I'm really interested to see what happens here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Would you say that any of the newer rides that you've experienced have like technology or things that are really innovative in a way that you've never seen before? Or do you still feel that it's kind of like stuck in a certain era? Or like, how would you? I haven't been to Disney in a while, so I can't speak to it. I'm curious to know what your take is on the newer stuff, the stuff that you've experienced.
That's a good question, because we were talking about that. I think there's one ride that stands out completely, which is Rise of the Resistance, the Star Wars one.
Okay.
That is just I wouldn't say ahead of its time, but it's just like within its time. Like, you get on that ride, and have you been on it?
No.
It just takes you through multiple. It's like 5 rides in one. You don't just get on and go through a river and see some pre-set up props and then you're done. Like, this is like almost like 5 different rides in one, 4 or 5 different rides in one. And that one feels like, technology wise, it is where it needs to be. The animatronics are high end, the computer graphics, everything is like on another level. Some of the other rides that they've like overlaid or done, they feel a little lazy, like the Splash Mountain. They redid it into Tiana's Bayou like adventure or whatever the case may be. It felt a little like lazily done. I love that movie, but it just didn't feel like it hit. But yeah, Star Wars is one that like really feels like it's out there, and it's really well done. It just feels like the technology in a lot of these rides, it's almost like hard to hone in on today's technology on something that is an attraction that has to fit so many people, that has to placate to so many people, that has to tell a story in such a short time frame. So I don't know if like the technology is there. When you kind of like dive deep into it, there's a lot of the stuff that they're working on with the projection mapping, specifically the projection mapping on the faces for like animatronics, that are really like cool. They just came out with one of the things that Mari and I talk about that all the time is like, how do the characters in the parks not talk? Like, how do they not have voice boxes that actually like speak? Because you go up to a Mickey, you go up to a Minnie, and they don't speak. So that's one of the things that in Paris they're opening up the Frozen, like a Frozen area that they did, and they have an Olaf that actually speaks, that actually walks around. It's a fully AI animatronic that walks around the park, talks, etc., and it's on its own. It handles on its own. So that type of technology is what I'm excited to see in the parks, to make things more immersive. Because as of right now, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. I'm like, Disney, you think about like the Imagineers, and you think of them always being at the forefront of things that are innovative in that way. And I feel like how Apple has gone by the wayside in terms of product innovation, I feel like Disney is also lagging behind in some of those things, where like they should be the ones where like you go to that park and you're going to step on a ride or do an experience that is like mind blowing, that has like, the storytelling and like the magic, but also the technology and that element of like, holy crap, when you mentioned projection mapping, I'm like, yes, they should be doing more of that. There's
Yeah.
augmented reality. There's other kind of like ways to bring in those immersive experiences that I feel like they should be the ones just doing it. And I wonder, I haven't done the research into it, so I guess I'll look into it. But those new rides, if they're gonna scrap old stuff, it better be that like
Oh, yeah.
groundbreaking, cutting edge stuff, because
And
otherwise,
it hasn't been.
so
It hasn't been. A lot of these overlays fall flat, and yeah, I don't know. Obviously, they're a huge business, and there's a lot of reasons I'm sure why. But the fact that Epic Universe beat them to the punch, and the stuff that Epic Universe is doing, like the Mario Land and a lot of this stuff, is really cutting edge. It does feel like Disney should have been the ones doing that. So we'll see. We'll see what this race is going to be like. The next 10 years is going to be interesting for theme parks and for immersion and storytelling.
for sure.
So.
All right. Well, that wraps up episode 7 of The Algorithm. We should be back on the 18th. So 2 weeks from now, we do this every 2 weeks. If you're not following us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to Cultura Talks, where we host this live. And then follow us on Instagram as well at Cultura Creative Co. I'm David Verjano, and this is JC Perez. Thank you guys for being a part of another episode, and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thank you guys. Cheers.